So you spent good money on Simpro, you got it set up, the business still feels a little like chaos. Jobs slip through the cracks, invoices go out late, you're flat out, but you've got that busy but broke feeling. And there's a quiet voice in the back of your head saying, is this even worth it? Most contractors think they've got a Simpro problem, but they don't. They've got a setup and workflow problem. I've seen hundreds of businesses turn Simpro from an admin headache into a profit machine. Let me show you the workflow, the cash traps, and the 6 common mistakes that are causing the damage. Now, most contractors treat Simpro like an expensive filing cabinet, a place to dump data after the fact. The businesses that make money out of it treat it like something completely different. I've run electrical and plumbing businesses, used Simpro for 18 years, and I sat in the CEO and COO seat to some of the biggest national contracts. I've watched the same handful of mistakes quietly cost owners hundreds of thousands of dollars. So this isn't theory. In this video, I'm going to work through with you the workflows, the cash traps, and the numbers to watch, and of course the 6 common mistakes. So you can turn Simpro from an admin headache into a profit machine. Now, I've got some tools here to make it easier for you. I don't want you to just nod along and watch. I want you to actually get something out of this. So download these. The link's in the description or it's down below this video, and you'll be able to use these tools to actually set up your Simpro workflow. But first, who is this for? And what's the one shift that makes everything else click? Because if you get this wrong, nothing else works. Most Simpro advice is generic button clicking, but in a real trade business where you're juggling crews, cash flow, pipeline of jobs, it's not the software that matters, it's your processes, your team, and your operational rhythm. If you're an electrical, plumbing, HVAC business doing 2 to 30 mil, this one's for you. The big shift you can make is to stop using Simpro to record what's happened and start using it to run what's happening. That's the big difference from a filing cabinet to a profit engine. Now let me show you the reframe that changes everything so you can use Simpro in this way and make money out of it. This is what most businesses I see look like. This is what most workflows look like in a fast-growing trade business. A tangled mess. Some works in email, some's in a file server, some's scribbled on a docket, or some's rattling around your head. Nothing connects and nothing flows. Data goes in but nothing moves. The job doesn't progress because the systems aren't driving it, your memory is. What we actually want is more of a production line. So now imagine car factory like that. Doors in one shed, engines in a ute out the back, paint on a sticky note. You'd never put up with it. The car would never get built. The whole point of a production line is that work moves in one direction through one place, station by station, and nothing gets lost. The people come to the task. Now that's how to think about Simpro. Not a bowl of spaghetti, not a filing cabinet that you dig through later, but one place where every job moves forward in order until the cash hits your account. Treat Simpro as a production line and 3 things happen. Jobs stop stalling, nothing falls through the cracks because the line carries it through, not your memory, and the business becomes something you can see at a glance. That reframe is the foundation for every hack that follows. Now in the free bundle, there's a Simpro workflow template, a Word document that you can edit, and 80% of it will fit your business. So you can tweak the last 20 and get your production line on paper so you can actually use it in your business and align it with your team. Links in the description or down below. So if Simpro is a production line, the obvious question is, what are the stations? And they happen to marry very nicely to a Simpro. So let's have a look. 4 job stations. The number one reason is job stores, and nobody can answer a dead simple question. Where is this job at right now? Without clear station, every job sits in a fuzzy, somewhere in progress limbo. The fuzzy jobs are the ones that get forgotten, invoiced late, or never invoiced at all. On a real production line, a job sits exactly in one of 4 stations: pending, progress, completed, or invoiced. Each station has a clear trigger to enter and a clear trigger to exit. It's never vague. Station 1, pending, the setup station. A job lands here when the quote's accepted, or it's a due and charge job comes in, documents get loaded, credit checks done, scope, contract verified, and a handover process is going to occur from whoever quoted it to whoever's going to deliver it. Everything the job needs is in there before it moves. Pick your exit trigger. It could be a handover meeting, could be a deposit, simply that it's been scheduled, and make it very clear. Station 2, progress, where the action happens. On a project, the PM orders materials, books the crew, plans the hours, works the program. On a service job, the tech's got everything in hand, site history, drawings, materials, etc. And the job gets done. The job stays here until it's field complete. That's the exit. When it's field complete, then it moves to the complete. This is where it gets a bit of a mess for most people. Field complete does not mean that job's over. Now there's the work that needs to be done to get it paid. So that's field notes, test results, compliance certificates, artifacts. Now they all have to be bundled up so the invoice can go out. Most importantly, the invoice goes out in a state that means it's going to be paid. So once this is invoiced, then you can exit here and it goes to the invoice stage. Station 4 is invoiced. The invoice goes out, syncs with your accounting package, and the chase begins because the job's not over until the cash is in the bank. Once you're paid, it can move to archive. So when every station has a trigger in and out, jobs can't get stuck in limbo. A job that hasn't produced reduced its exit output, literally can't move forward. You glance at Simpro and you can see the whole business at once. That's a production line working for you. You can see how much you've got in work in progress, pending and completed, and actually manage the business and drive the cash flow. Now, a hot tip here, stages are useful. Statuses are also can add a bit more depth to this. With the statuses, I mostly see people have too many statuses. You only need a few useful ones. And the key ones for me are when a job's in progress, you want a status that says it's stuck, if it is stuck. It doesn't matter why, whether it's materials or access or weather or whatever, but you just need a flag so the PM or the service manager knows they need to unstick it. Then when it's incomplete, you want a status that says it's ready to invoice. They're the most important statuses, and the others tend to get a little bit noisy. But moving jobs along is only half the battle. Even with perfect stations, money still leaks out the side. The next I'm going to show you the 5 cash traps that can drain money out of your business and how the production line can plug each one. You can be flat out, booked for months and still broke. Profit on paper means nothing if the cash never lands. In a trade business, cash leaks in a small number of very predictable places. First one is slow invoicing. Work in progress. Job sitting incomplete, not getting invoiced. I see it constantly. The fix is a clear rule on how fast completed jobs need to clear out. For service and maintenance, it needs to be emptied every day or so, perhaps every 2 days. For projects, it's that monthly cycle of progress claims and making sure the jobs are moving forward. The next thing is low margin jobs. Now, GP sinks a business faster than almost anything else. In the progress stage, set your columns so that you can see estimated versus actual GP. And most important, that you've got the estimated and actual labor hours. Our labor is the big one. It's always the labor that blows out, rarely the materials. Now you can catch it live when it's not too late. And then of course there's slow paying clients. This sucks cash as well. You can chase your debtors in Simpro or Xero. I prefer to do it in Xero or your accounting package. Simpro's okay for it, but doing it in your accounting package keeps it all clean and reconciled. Now the data is okay. You can set up automations here, but the real fix is the behavior. Debtors need to be reviewed every week. No exception. They're looked at in one of the standard meetings that we run in our operational rhythm. The system only works if someone's looking at it. So we want to make sure that's done at least every week. And of course, defects and rework, massive and a cost that's obviously often unchecked. People don't really keep tabs on it. So it's really important to have a cost center for defects or rework. And then you can actually track the cost of going back and doing the rework and see what it is like in dollars. Once it gets measured, it tends to come down. You can see how it hits the job P&L and you can see how it hits the whole month. Once you can point to which PM it belongs to, the problems start to disappear. Sunlight fixes it. So we actually make it visible and it tends to get improved. Now the next one is excess inventory. Cash tied up in stock, on shelves and in vans. Simpro's inventory management is pretty basic, but it's fine for large ticket items. And the easiest way to control the rhythm is to clean out vans weekly, bring leftover materials back to site, make sure it's checked in and out of the system. But be aware there is a cost in managing your inventory. So it's hard to do for businesses that are sort of under the 5 mil mark because you need people to do it. It actually takes a bit of effort. But cash traps aren't bad luck. They're gaps in the production line. Everyone maps to a station and a simple control. Run the line properly and you don't just finish the jobs, you actually collect on them. Plugging leaks only matters if you can see them. Next, we're going to look at the handful of numbers to watch each week and the meeting rhythm that turns them into action. So you're steering with data, not on gut feel. Most owners are either drowning in reports they don't understand or they're flying blind and they find out about a bad month when the accountant calls. You don't need more numbers. You need the right numbers, a limited few, and you need to watch them regularly. On a weekly, gross margin on small jobs, we want to check the outliers. Not every job below your GP threshold needs attention, and too high needs attention too because you've probably missed loading some of the costs in there. Labor, actual versus estimate on larger projects. It's always the labor that blows out. So this is usually pulled out of Simpro and managed somewhere else or surfaced somewhere else, but you need to be checking the labor on a weekly basis to make sure those larger jobs are on track. The job activity report will flag where money's gone out but no revenue's coming in. Really useful to run at the end of the month when you're doing your progress claims and at the end of the week to make sure that all the jobs you spent money on have been invoiced. And then of course there's cash flow and debtors, which is the lifeblood. Debtors reviewed weekly. Check your invoice chasing as automation is on, but also you've got someone looking and you're taking responsibility of it, looking that these debtors are getting chased. The other part on a weekly basis is a rolling forecast. This is the profit planner. There's a separate video about this, but this gives you visibility down the track so you can actually plan labor, see when you're above the break even and actually manage your business strategically through the windscreen, not through the rear vision mirror. Then on a monthly basis, net profit margin out of Xero, your client rank report out of Simpro, your labor productivity, how much your crews have been paid per hour, what's your gang rate. So so you know what your recovery rate is. And with that monthly data, you can update your estimating and see where there might be leaks and inefficiency in your labour crews. An important hack is Simpro is brilliant at gross profit, but it's really hard for whole business net profit. So I've always used it, and why clients use it for gross profit. You're targeting a revenue and a gross profit. The other factor of that is that everyone using Simpro actually can influence gross profit. They can't influence net profit. Now, numbers only change behaviour when they're on a rhythm. A Monday forecast and planning sets the week up, and Friday to review and check the job P&Ls. It's like two bookends. You've got to start the week and finish it properly, and you get that rhythm in place. You can't go more than a week before you realise if you're on or off track. Now, a month is too long, so you want to be, best practice is a day, bare minimum is a week. So this is why these weekly rhythms, locked in these weekly rhythms, super powerful. So you've got the production line, you've plugged the leaks, you're watching the right numbers, and before you rebuild Simpro, let me just save you a world of pain. These are the common mistakes that I see sabotaging all of it. You can do everything we've covered and still strangle your own systems, usually by overcomplicating it or by not capturing the costs that matter. These mistakes are invisible right up until they cost you. Here are 6 straight off my checklist. First thing is too many cost centers. More is not better. Keep the list lean. You can report on plenty of other factors without having a monster list of cost centers. For some reason, people tend to put too many cost centers in there. Make sure you've got a warranty callback cost center, because that's important. Next thing is chasing net rather than gross. I mentioned Simpro is great at the gross, but forcing it to run a net profit is just problematic. And what happens is you get this illusion that people think, oh, we're making net profit, when you could be actually running at a loss. And the other thing is missing the full labor costs. The labor costs change. You've got to probably review this every 3 months at least. So make sure you've got a good labor cost calculator, that you update those employment costs. Get it wrong and your margins are fiction. Skipping the shortcuts. Things built in a Simpro that can make it a lot easier to do everything. One of them is favorites. Make sure you're tagging out your favorite materials out of your catalog so they're easy to grab. Pre-builds makes it loads easier and quicker to build up those quotes and then transfer them into a project. And quote and project templates. There's not a straightforward way to do this in Simpro, but set up a test customer, and then you can create a quote and a standard job in there with templates for the different style. You just copy that, recreate it, change the customer, and that speeds up having to set it all up from the start. Too many job statuses can overload a workflow. Use the stages clearly, as we've spoken about, and let the triggers for entry and exit into a stage handle the workflow. Statuses should be for the exception. I mentioned the 2 that are, where a project's stuck or when a job needs to be invoiced are the key ones. So having too many complicates things. But I will qualify that and say they're really useful for the mobile app and other things to trigger activities, and you can have triggers from these statuses. So there's times when it makes sense to use it, but mostly I see people overcomplicating it. And the last thing is where jobs go off system. The moment a job lists outside Simpro, your numbers are fiction. You can't see what's going on. I've been caught by this many a time. Client ringing about a job that's gone wrong. I'm digging through Simpro going, oh, which job? It's not there. Someone's doing it off piece. So keep everything in Simpro. It's not perfect. In fact, sometimes it's a complete pain in the ass, but there is value in having that production line where you know where all your jobs are. Almost every Simpro failure comes down to 1 or 2 things: making it too complicated or letting the work happen outside. So keep it simple, keep everything in the production line, drive those processes, and you can have it running like a well-oiled machine. Okay, just to recap, Simpro isn't a filing cabinet. It's actually a production line. Every job moves through those 4 stages. Keep control into that stage and the trigger to come out of that stage, and you'll keep control of the business. There's 5 cash traps that generally get people stuck. So check those, make sure you're plugging those cash traps. Keep an eye on the numbers. You know what numbers to check on a weekly and a monthly basis. Get that operational rhythm in place and you'll have control. You won't go more than a week without being off track. And check out those 6 common mistakes. Clean those up and you can have your Simpro will be 80% there. Now don't forget, down below in the link there is these resources for you. And if you want to get more information on not just Simpro but actually running your trade business profitably, taking hours out of your day, maximizing your profit, then follow me. There's more stuff coming out. Here's your next step. I've put together this free bundle of tools to help you actually put Simpro in place. Follow the steps in this video. Use those tools which speed up. You'll be able to implement it quickly and you'll have Simpro in great shape. Now, if you want any more really good information, tips and tricks and ideas around running your trade contracting business to maximize your profit, if you're using Simpro in your electrical, plumbing, HVAC, that style of business, follow me and keep in the loop, and I am happy to share.